Hello everyone and welcome back to the Blackfoot Book Club and yet another edition from my essential film reviews collection, and I bring you my rambling musings from 2022's Amsterdam, directed by David O. Russell. 3 cinema trips ago, and in the second week of October of a year that is ending just hours away from when I pen these brief words of appreciation, I was leaving my local cinema in the company of my beautiful son when I happened upon the poster for Amsterdam and immediately remarked to all within earshot, "This will be a stunner of a film." As is so often proved correct within my own particular one-eyed kingdom, I was indeed right, and director David O. Russell's 10th big-screen cinematic affair was a conspiratorial treat. Not as accomplished perhaps as his 1999 epic Three Kings, or Silver Linings Playbook over a decade later, or my particular favourite, 2013's American Hustle, but I loved Amsterdam for a multitude of reasons, and hopefully for differing and surprising reasons than your own. Returning for just a moment to that film poster and my proclamation of its coming greatness as a film, as my son and I ambled away from Halloween Ends in early October, whilst he was nonplussed by my soothsaying future review, the cinema's greeter wasn't, as she confessed A, she'd seen and loved an advanced copy of the film, and B, she'd already bagged the poster I was referring to, as she liked it, and as a perk of the job, she can buy any unreserved film posters for a knockdown price. I was of course envious, as I'm a childish film fan at heart, and am so often taken in by a good poster, and so it was, finally, on the 29th of December, in a year finishing a mere few hours from now, that I watched Amsterdam expectantly awaiting a gem of a film that didn't arrive, but which was replaced by something wholly surprising and unexpectedly different. Since seeing the film poster in early October, I'd not seen a trailer, nor a sneak peek, or any written reviews whatsoever. I still haven't. I watched this film without even the most basic of a premise or blurb, which, according to the Matrix Movie Bible at IMDb, proclaims Amsterdam to be in the 1930s. 3 friends witness a murder, are framed for it, and uncover one of the most outrageous plots in American history. Had I known this before time, I would of course have been expecting the obvious real-life conspiracy being laid out before us, and with the introduction of Robert De Niro in his notable cameo role. However, it was even more pleasing for your humble narrator to call out this conspiracy ahead of cinematic time, way before the introduction of De Niro, and way before those closing credits that rather soured the ending to an otherwise brilliantly engaging film. Go see the credits for yourself. It's all there for a one-eye wishing to see. But rather remarkably, arguably the greatest untold and unsaid conspiracy of all time is laid out within this gem of a film, and should you be unaware of General Smedley Butler, his book War is a Racket, the request placed upon him to lead a fascist revolution in the United States of America exactly a century ago, or his multitude of revealing quotes attributed to him later in life, treat yourself to a real conspiracy in a world absent of them, according to our overlords in charge of the all-seeing eye. 5 paragraphs in, and not one word about the film. Well, that's par for my cinematic course. There are no major spoilers here, just a human reaction to an art form I revere like no other. But returning to the film poster once again, and it's a veritable who's who, an ensemble collection of character actors and actresses of our generation, all of whom produce intriguing, spirited and fiercely individual performances. In poster order, we have Margot Robbie playing arguably a dual character, if not definitely a dual personality, as she flips from secretive war nurse to artist and much more in league with the love of her life, World War I veteran and now New York lawyer, in the guise of John David Washington. Chris Rock is an awkwardly outspoken World War I veteran too, and best friends with Washington, whilst back in the New York of 1933 and 15 years since the end of the Great War, we find Anya Taylor-Joy as a rather prissy and controlling wife of Rami Malek, whilst Zoe Saldana excels as a medical examiner. Pleasingly, as well as perhaps unfairly, I saw the Mike Myers character of a British spy stepping right out of the Quentin Tarantino character created for him in 2009's Inglourious Basterds, and the screen time he shares with Michael Shannon's American Spy is a bizarre joy. Timothy Oliphant is a hitman, Andrea Riseborough a socially climbing and grasping estranged wife. Taylor Swift hangs up the singing microphone for a small cameo role, and Matthias Schoenaerts and Alessandro Nivola complete the poster role of acting talent as two ridiculously cartoonish, bungling New York detectives, which just leaves your star of a conspiratorial show. Bert Berenson, Christian Bale. World War I veteran and now ostensibly a fringe outside doctor and medical practitioner, Berenson has seen the devastation of war and the human casualties he now tries to treat in vain. The carnage of human war is writ large on the returning veterans unable to stop shaking from what was termed then as shell shock, but is now flowered and mired in the newspeak language of post-traumatic stress disorder. But Berenson is also somewhat of an expert in the art of facial and body disfigurement, having lost and left an eye in France at the very end of the war. Forming a pact with the nurse who saved him and nursed him back to health, and his best friend and also recovering veteran, Berenson breaks the pact to return to his medical calling in New York and the estranged wife from an estranged family who distrust him enormously. As ever, Christian Bale is wonderful in a central role, arguably only he or Sam Rockwell could truly play and pull off with such aplomb. Often framed with a querying and quizzical head tilt to the side, and always with long, lingering shots on a character trying desperately to piece together the puzzle before him, David O. Russell deserves enormous credit for writing such a character, as well as guiding and directing him into life in league with Bale. A lot of this really happened, so proclaims the very first frame of the film before we journey backward and forward from 1930s New York to France in 1918 and back again, as the tapestry is slowly woven around a huge cast of characters embroiled or otherwise in the greatest untold and dare not spoken about conspiracy of all time. There's an arguable hero's tale component to the story alongside the conspiracy, but with heavy emphasis on the returning veterans. I'm hoping the deliberately shocking human aftermath of war resonates deeply with everyone. There's a Committee of Five and the Great Nation Society, and with a bending of the truth and some plot contrivances combining with a stellar cast, I rather enjoyed Amsterdam and recommend it to you. Postscript. I first read about this fascist coup to topple a sitting USA president to install a military dictatorship in the late 1990s, so it's only taken a quarter of a century since then to arrive on the big cinema screen. I still haven't seen or read any reviews of the film, but I'd wager it gets panned big time. I'd also wager that no one of any mainstream substance brings up the conspiracy, despite its centenary anniversary and the implications this may have had for the world at large. But then again, conspiracies don't exist, do they? Silly me. And that was Amsterdam from 2022, directed by David O. Russell. And I live in peace and in solidarity. And thank you so much for watching. Peace, everyone.